Escape for Nightshade. Karma Akabane, the murderer of Class 3E, escaped last night after murdering a guard on duty. If you have any idea of her whereabouts, call 911. If seen, be very careful and call for help, for she is very dangerous. Your remote dropped to the floor with a loud smash. Your eyes widened in horror. It was insane. Karma had escaped, and you had a feeling of what she would do. Shit. Sprinting to the front door, you grabbed your backpack and other necessities and rushed for the school as fast as you possibly could. Getting to school was easy, with seemingly no one in the parking lot. There was a small crowd gathered by the door, so you quickly wedged yourself among them to see what was going on. A bright blue slip of paper was securely taped to the door, and a fine printed text stated, "Attention all students. School has been closed as one of our students has gone missing. If you have any information on the whereabouts of Raku-kun, please contact the headmaster as his number is below. School will begin in a few days and the trip to Nightshade Asylums are cancelled. Please take this time to help the school and try to find Raku-kun." Despair filled your very being, seeping through your bones and pouring out of your heart. Tears of regret filled your eyes. You agreed that Raku was not the best person, but her life was in your hands. Sinking to your knees, you stared in front of you, murmurs of your surrounding students filling your ears. You were too late. Raku is missing, and you sure as hell knew who did it. Curled up on the couch, your depressed eyes glared through the screen of your small television. An empty ramen bowl rolled across the carpeted floor, bumping into the small coffee table that your feet rested upon. Your body was covered in warm quilts, but the frozen dread in your heart was too cold to recover from. Someone could be hurting. They could be in severe pain or worse, and it was your fault. You cursed your stupid thinking. Why did you tell Karma her name? She's a goddamn sadist! Guilt was wedged in your lungs, causing your breathing to become shallow. No. This is what Karma would want. To have you feel broken, destroyed by a simple act. To have you on your knees, pain stabbing your heart, and tears flowing down your cheeks. She wants you to be submissive, weak, hers to break, and hers alone. You shudder, your spine tingling with unwanted chills, and your skin covered in unruly goosebumps. Running a hand through your slightly mangled hair, you decide it was time for another shower. All the panic caused you to look a mess, and a shower seemed like it could brighten your spirits. A loud knock at your door pulled you out of your melancholy thoughts. Fear settled in the pit of your stomach, twisting it into several nauseous knots. You stood, your cocoon of blankets falling to pieces around your feet, your soles padded across the carpeted floor, slowly reaching the old door that the knock had designated from. You took a deep breath and opened the door. On your step, a small cardboard box was placed neatly in front of your feet. The worn-out cardboard was covered in a giant red bow, the crimson wrapping around the brown in a strange, attractive mix. Picking up the small box, confusion etched your face as you rotated the box to look for a name. Seeing no name tag whatsoever, you looked for a possible owner of the box, which seemed to fail. Sighing, you carried the small box into the living room, your fingers eagerly tearing the bow away from the box. Inside, a small red flash drive was placed among a load of tissue paper. Picking up the small flash drive, you examined it carefully, noticing that your name was written in a black Sharpie along the side. Huh? Your confused eyes met with your laptop screen across the room. Quickly snatching the computer from the kitchen counter, you settled back onto the couch, snuggling into the covers and inserting the flash drive into the laptop's bank. Access files. Yes. No. Your fingers immediately clicked on the yes button, your curious side getting the better of you. A small file appeared on your desktop, and you clicked to open the file, almost missing the title. Almost. Your slight smile faltered, your eyes widening a fraction in shock. The small typing that stared back at you sent chills down your spine. Listener Coon. Only one person called you by that nickname. Karma Akabane. Your fingers gripped your phone tightly and you quickly dialed Miu, praying she'd pick up. Listener? You sighed in relief upon hearing your dear friend's voice. Hope filled you as you heard her giggle, only for the hope to morph into complete despair at her next words. Why would I send you a flash drive? Miu asked, slightly concerned. Your breathing got ragged, and you stared at the file's contents. Almost every single file had a date, ranging from at least a few months ago up to yesterday. Miu paused, and her confusion was so overwhelming, it seemed to seep through the phone. Okay, listener, but don't try to scare me. You chuckled slightly, and the situation seemed to get a little lighter. Your words were cut short when you spotted a video clip. Fear etched your voice, and Miu quickly asked you what was wrong. Holy shit, listener! You have to watch it! You could probably find out where she is! A disturbing hunch was buried into your stomach. Like after seeing that video, nothing would be the same. Hesitantly, you started the video. There is a dark room with a rusty metal chair in the center of the concrete floor. The walls were covered in a clear tarp, and a lone light bulb swung from the ceiling. Sitting in the chair was a hunched-over Riku, still in her school uniform, frantically looking around the room. Both you and Miu heard her cries for help, her anguish pleading, but you couldn't see who was behind the camera. Then a dark, deep chuckle escaped from behind the camera, and you knew. Karma Akabane stepped into the light, grinning widely at the squirming prey next to her. Heyo, listener-kun! Did you miss me? You gritted your teeth at the footage, and Miu, who seemed to recognize the female's voice, remained silent on her end of the line. Karma waved slightly before setting her gaze on Riku. The redhead sneered. You aren't so cocky when you're tied up, are you now? Karma kicked the girl's shin, emitting a slight yelp from her. Karma roughly gripped Riku's golden hair, hoisting her up a few inches, causing a grunt of pain to echo through the room. You know, you hurt my listener-kun, right? Well, the problem with that is I'm the only one that's allowed to experience its pain. To torture him, to cut him, to take him, that's only for me to do. And now, you're going to pay. You could only watch as Karma grabbed a small but clearly lethal knife, aiming it at the girl's skin. Small horizontal cuts began to leap from the flesh of Riku's arms, legs, and neck. Each one burning as every breath Riku took irritated the cuts. They were all bleeding, but not to the point where Riku would die blood loss. No, that'd be too easy. Karma laughed at Riku's painful expressions, clearly amused. Grabbing a metal bat, Karma dragged it against the floor, emitting a cold whimper from the blonde. Oh no. It took you everything in your power not to scream as you heard the metal hit bone, screams of anguish coming from Riku as she stared at her mangled legs. Her legs, clearly broken, were contorted into knots of flesh and bloody bone, in ways that no limb should ever be in. You wanted to cry, to call for help, to move, but you were too frozen, in a state of shock as you watched the revolting scene take place in front of you. Ah, yes, your hands. Without them, you wouldn't be able to hurt my listener-kun. Fiddling with another death tool of hers, she stalked towards her victim, whose face was now contorted in a state of shock. The redhead grabbed one of the blonde's hands, yanking the tied limb towards her with a rough tug. Examining her hand slightly, Karma aimed the tool at the thumb, lightly pressing the cold metal against the flesh. Then, Karma began to saw. Nausea filled your stomach as you heard the tool rip through flesh and bones. Loud, pain-filled screams echoed through the laptop, and Miyu began to sob on the other line. Tears began to flow down your cheeks, heavy with remorse and fear, and you could hear each finger fall onto the concrete. Plop, plop, plop. It was mortifying, just the way Karma would have liked it. Now, finished with her handiwork, Karma smirked at the camera, giving a thumbs up. You see, listener-kun, this is what happens when people hurt what's actually mine. Karma made the notion to walk away, and a sigh of relief filled your lungs. Only for Karma to turn quickly and slice the girl's throat. Blood trickled like a river down Riku's flesh, and a choked gasp echoed throughout the walls. Riku was choking on her own blood, and it was your fault. A stream of vomit hit the carpeted floor, your stomach bursting with the nausea of the horrible torture you'd witnessed. Sobs heaved from your chest, and gross hiccups spewed from your diaphragm. Karma smiled, as if she knew the pain you were going through. Remember, listener-kun, you're mine, and don't you forget it. You dropped the phone with Miyu on it, and practically sprinted towards the only landline of your house, on the kitchen counter. Fingers clutching the cold plastic, you hoisted the phone onto your cheek, quickly dialing 911. 911, what's your emergency? You stuttered out, bile settling in the pit of your stomach. A murder of whom? It was late. You leaned onto the kitchen counter, staring blankly out the window, your eyes puffy from crying. The police left a few minutes ago after investigating the files of you. They were able to track down where Riku's remains were, in an old warehouse a few minutes from school. You shuddered, remembering the contents of the file once more. That bastard! That fucking prick! She killed someone over something so stupid! The whole situation made your head swirl, and you almost doubled over from emotion. Slouching against the counter, you wished you could sink into the stone and disappear from the horrible situation. Clutching your head, you decided that you needed to eat, hoping it would calm your nerves. Humming slightly, you began to pull out some ramen, putting it on a pot and filling the pot with water. Dropping the chicken flavor packet onto the ground, you leaned down to grab it. What you didn't notice, though, was the small sound of your door opening and closing. The light padded steps sliding against the floor. Snatching the packet up, you stood, stretching your arms before yawning. Your eyes squeezed closed as your joints popped. Sighing in relief, you opened your eyes, only for a blood-curdling scream to rip from your throat. Hello, listener-kun. Did you miss me?